crunching my mint. Hey everyone, welcome to Yarn Yak.
Yak.
We are here. I shouldn't bang the table, it does weird things to the computer. How you guys doing tonight? Excuse me while I finish crunching my mint. Carla, talk while I crunch my mint.
Yeah, here's another mint. No, I'm just kidding.
Carla thought I needed a
Here
mint.
we are. We're in Baldwin, Wisconsin, your favorite yarn store.
The Stash.
The Stash.
I'm Kimmer.
I'm Carla.
And this, everyone, is Allie.
Hi, Allie.
Hi. Allie is our knitting teacher at the Stash. And she also hosts our knitting help desk here at the store a couple times a month. And we greatly appreciate her assistance. We just had a customer question tonight that I couldn't answer because, you know, Kimmer doesn't really knit much. But I have a secret. Stay tuned. Anyway. So, we are coming to you from our local yarn store, The Stash, in Baldwin, Wisconsin. And we have Allie on our show tonight to talk to us about how to start knitting, however, and also if you are a crocheter, how to start knitting, because it might be, well, not necessarily different, but there's a little, like a segue, like a layer,
there's
like
some things that are kind of similar.
There's a little thing there that may be somewhat helpful if you can crochet. So we're going to be yakking about that tonight, but first, we're going to talk about
what are you doing?
What we've been doing this week.
What are you working on?
So what I worked on this week was more worky work, but it was still fun. I had two new, I did it with Kimmer kits come out this week. Two new crochet kits. One is the Fancy Farmhouse dishcloth. We're not going to say what I really called it, which is the Fancy AF dishcloth, but I'm not calling it that. It's the Fancy Farmhouse dishcloth. And that kit is available now. And then I also did the tutorial for my Chompy headband, which is like a, I don't have one sitting right here, but you can look at it on the website. It's just like it's like a good squishy, but not too thick headband, nice and warm. You can adjust the width of it easily. You can adjust the diameter of it easily. And so if you make one with the kit, then you'll know how, and you can adjust away and make them for everybody you know and make 57 for yourself.
The perfect stocking stuffer.
Literally, it's the Midwest, right? One in every pocket, one in every bag, two in every car.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because it just seems like you always lose stuff like that. So
for each of your kids.
Exactly.
Right?
They should have one in each pocket.
Right? And one on their head.
Exactly. So that's what I was doing this week. What were you doing this week?
Well, I was doing that knit scarf, but I do
from last week.
Yes, but I have to take a break once in a while just because I started a cowl, a crochet cowl.
It's a very pretty purple. Can you hold it up for the peoples to see? So look how fast she cut this cowl out, you guys. No joke. I'm gonna hold it for her because we're squished at our little table tonight. Look at that. She's just going to town on this. Nice and it's simple, repeatable. What yarn is this?
And it goes from wide.
Oh yeah, does it narrow
Yes.
so you get a blousing effect up closer, tighter to your neck?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice.
It's a recycled yarn.
It's a recycled yarn.
Respun.
Okay. From Lion Brand Respun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Recycled polyester.
What about you? What are you working on, Allie?
I'm working on a crochet shawl.
Wait. Are you the knitting teacher?
I can do both.
Oh, Allie is bi-stitchual. So is Carla.
So it is Sultan's shawl. It's from Hobby.
Yeah, I recognize that pattern.
Beautiful.
It's got such a pretty little stitch set with this.
Oh my goodness.
The loop. Is it third loop or back loop?
It's in the yeah, it's a front and then a back.
Yeah, it does like a really pretty little, and then when you do it with the thinner yarn, that piece of detail.
It's beautiful.
I know you guys can't see, but if you could see there, maybe you'll be able to if I tip it into the light.
It is beautiful.
It's really pretty. So one of the things I love about Allie is knitting or crochet, her gauge and tension are very, very precise and perfect. And so that inspires me a little bit to try to be a little bit neater and tighter when I crochet because I'm kind of a loose
Your free spirit.
hooker.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I'm
She
a free
is a
spirit.
free
There's no
spirit.
doubt about that. I'm a free spirit. But Carla also has nice, really, really nice tight tension when she crochets and knits. So they're my heroes, my idols. Just saying. So anyway,
Well,
if you
thank
ever
that was
want,
really nice.
if you ever want to know more about what we're working on, you can jump on our website at www.shopthebusters.com and then go right up to the header and click on the Yarn Yak tab, and that will take you to our Yarn Yak page where there are information about what we're working on. If there's a pattern or a specific yarn that we talked about, there will be links to that on there. There's also, if you're interested, little bios about us on that page and some image galleries or whatever about some of our past projects and things that we showed on the show. And for this week, Allie has a list of like some of her favorite things that she's going to talk a little bit about a little later, that the links are posted on there. So definitely jump over there and check that out. And now, without further ado, how to start knitting with Allie.
Yes.
And other stuff. So let's start here.
All right.
Welcome, Allie. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you are a mother.
I am.
And you are a full-time student.
I am. I'm a part-time student.
A part-time student in business management.
Yep.
And you have a full-time job.
Yes.
Where do you work?
You
don't have to say if you don't want.
I work for a packaging company.
A packaging company.
In Richmond, Wisconsin, and I am a field service manager, which is basically like cat herding.
Cool. Yeah.
18 field service representatives.
Yeah, like working here on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Herding cats. Yeah.
18 field service technicians that are like nationwide doing their thing. So
yeah, and you're in charge. Well, that's cool. So you do all those things, and you also knit and crochet.
Yes.
And you've been knitting for 22 years.
Yes, I started in high school.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I've been crocheting a really, really, really long time, longer than I care to admit, just because then you know how old I am. But yeah, that impresses me because to me knitting is, I feel like I would give up. I feel like that's a distinct possibility.
Yeah.
More on that later. Anyway. So did you first crochet or did you first?
So I first started knitting, and I think my mom, I don't remember it super clearly, but it was just kind of in high school. My mom was a knitter, and my grandma, I believe, crocheted. And I think my aunt crocheted. But I learned from my mom some like basic stitches as like a here, try this situation.
Do something.
I have needles and yarn. Please go try.
Please go try.
Which turned into her like giving me patterns. Like here, I want you to make this for nieces or grandkids or whoever.
So you picked it up pretty quick.
Yeah. So go try this. And then we worked in a pharmacy. So we would always like browse through all the magazines, and they had knitting magazine. So it'd be like checking out all the patterns and let's try this or let's make this. But then
so inspiration for you was visual.
Yep.
Largely.
Yes.
Okay.
And just like a challenge. I did it during class as a way to pay attention. I did it like
because we all know many of us, we need something in our hands if we're going to listen to someone yak. We have to be doing something. You can't just sit. I would go to sleep. I'm sorry. You have to be super interesting.
I'm watching a movie. It could be the most interesting movie ever, and it'd be like half an hour, and I'll be out.
Unless I have yarn. Yep, I'm the same way. I am absolutely the same way.
Going out to a movie now that they put those recliners in. Yeah.
Oh my God! Right? It's just a really expensive nap.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's dark.
Absolutely.
It's dark, and those chairs are comfortable.
You have to have like 47 snacks just to make it through.
Basically, you have to like crunch yourself all the way through, and if it's a 3-hour movie, that's a lot of snacks. I'm just saying.
Right.
So, if you had to say, what would a crocheter find familiar, and what would they find very, very different about knitting?
So, as far as being the same, it's a tension thing. Like it's a yarn thing. You have to kind of be in tune with the weight of the yarn and what direction you have to pull it or how tight you have to hold it around its needles or around the hook.
Okay. So that's really similar to crocheting.
Yeah. If you're gonna make a sock or something, you're still gonna want a thinner yarn or a bigger weight. If you're gonna make like a big blanket, the fastest is always going to be a chunkier weight.
Absolutely. And that doesn't change knitting to crochet. It's always the same. Yarn,
it's always the same.
Okay.
As far as differences, it's 1 hook versus 2 needles or up to like 5 needles.
If you're using DPNs. Yeah. Carla's about to tackle DPNs for the first time. She's going to take on a sock. So she was picking some DPNs out tonight. I was impressed. Just saying.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
You can do it.
So I have a question about the DPNs. And if this is too complicated to answer during the show, just tell me and we'll talk about it later. But it just occurred to me after seeing this, I don't know how many times, that a circular needle, right?
Yep.
holds all the stitches around in a circle.
Right.
But when you do DPNs, what you're doing is you're using a little tiny short knitting needle to hold X amount of those stitches on one side, so you can only have to work one little chunk at a time.
Right. So you would typically, like, say you have 30 stitches, you would split that between, like, you could split it into 3 and have 10 on each needle, and then have your 4th needle be the one that is your working one.
The one that you're using to slip the stitches on and
so
off
then you
and
would
knit them.
You would knit it onto the 4th one and then move to the next one and then switch the one that you just emptied.
I just now got that.
Makes
just
sense.
now. I was today years old before I finally actually understood what is the point of DPNs and what you do with them. So anyway, okay, well that's interesting.
That's good information
yeah.
because I thought that you just knit them together.
Oh.
You know, this DPN with the 10 on it, this DPN, that you use those together because you need 2.
Nope, you just
But
kind of
you use one of the others.
Yeah,
That's why there's 5 in a
one
package.
empty.
If you
Perfect.
already knit, don't laugh at us, okay? Don't laugh because we're all in
You know what?
various
I'm
phases
good
of
with it.
learning.
I'm good with it. Just
Various
laugh
phases of
away
learning.
because-
Go ahead, laugh at us
because
we're pretty funny.
I am fine with it. I never knew.
So usually when you have to use a DPN too, it's like you're trying to make a small cylinder, you know, so like a sleeve or a sock or something that's really small that you can't maneuver on a
because the cable would be like this long, and then you'd have you'd be like trying
Then
to.
I don't need them at all. I'm making a sock, and if it's going to fit my foot, it's going to be fine.
Oh, you are funny.
I know.
Funny lady.
I know.
Okay, well, so more about DPNs on another episode of Yarn Yak, but that was an interesting piece of information.
Absolutely.
Clarity at last. So, do you have a project preference for knit versus crochet? Like, do you use one craft specifically for something, or does it completely depend on the yarn and the pattern?
For socks, I prefer knit because I don't necessarily like the texture of walking on.
I knew that about her.
A crochet stitch. Crochet can be a lot more texture with your fabric that you're making, and there's a lot of like holes and different lumps, and
that's kind of a bonus about crocheting to a point. But I agree with you. I prefer to wear socks that are knit.
Right. If
I've tried to crochet socks a few times.
Yeah, I like that smoother feel when it's on my feet and I have to walk on it.
Interjection. Next week, we're going to talk some more about Tunisian crochet, and I have it on pretty good authority that Tunisian crocheted socks are as comfortable as knit socks.
I would believe that.
Because the stitch that you do to do it comes out very similar to the knit stitch for knitting. So we're going to find that out. We're going to test that theory. But anyway.
Yeah, I would believe that. As far as blankets go, or like anything larger than, you know, a smaller garment, I would prefer to crochet it versus knit because when you knit, you have to worry about all 200 and some stitches on your needles. Where crochet, you just have one little loop.
Stitch that's on your hook.
Yeah, one little loop that you have to worry about.
Yeah,
so
you only have to control one stitch at a time.
Yeah, and if you lose it, then you can just grab it right away, or like grab it after it's gone back for a few stitches.
Sure.
Versus like if you
see, that makes perfect sense to me, especially after the surprise for a little later that happened this weekend.
Yeah. So if you lose like a knit stitch, then you may have to like work it back up from the middle, or knit back.
We're gonna get to that fixing. We're gonna get to that,
or start all over,
or just throw it all up. Yeah, start all over.
That's the thing that gives me heart palpitations about knitting is that part. And I was also just today years old before I found out that there are hacks. There are ways to fix things that don't involve ripping everything all the way back out. So it turns out you don't actually have to do that as much as you might think. So you have a favorite design house, one that's kind of your go-to that you look at more often than not and use their patterns quite a bit?
Yeah, so I use Tin Can Knits a lot. They have a lot of really beginner-friendly patterns as well as some more advanced paid patterns. They have a whole section of like free beginners that ranges from scarves and blankets to cowls to sweater is on there. They have sock on there. They have hats. So they have a lot of really cool, like, beginner-friendly patterns. And they have links within their patterns to kind of give like description.
Tutorial type links and stuff?
Give some video or give some instruction
so
on how to
if you're a new knitter, that's a really good place to go. If you're like, okay, I learned how to knit 2 months ago and I want to try my first sweater.
Yep.
That's a good place to start.
And there's lots of videos of people doing their patterns, so there's lots of resources for you to see.
10
like, real-time things.
And like I said, we do have a link on our Yarn Yak page on our website of all the things that Allie is talking about as far as that goes. So links directly to Tin Can Knits. Yep. So that's cool. Is there a fiber that you think is no good for crocheting or that is only good for knitting or something like that?
I know as if you're a beginner knitter, you definitely don't want something like Lion Brand Homespun. You don't want something with lots of texture because it's really hard to see like the definition in the stitches. If you're going to do something bulky and you want that kind of definition, it definitely is better used for maybe a crochet project versus a knit. I'm all for using whatever yarn you're comfortable with. For
so you
don't
you don't subscribe to the idea that crocheters use acrylic and knitters get to use the nice yarn.
Nope, everybody gets to use whatever they want to use.
All the yarn,
and
all the things, for all the people.
Same with tools. You know, I could use higher end yarn, and then I have my old Susan Bates hook that I've had for 20 years.
more use what you want to use.
Right,
spoil yourself as much as you want to, or as little. You don't need high end stuff to do the task. If you like high end stuff, knock yourself out.
Yeah, all yarn has a purpose. Yeah, so
I agree with that totally.
What's your favorite yarn today? What do you like?
So what's
your favorite yarn today, Allie?
It's hard because there's lots of great squishy things that are like
day to
all behind us too.
Right.
So my most recent order was AFW and Malabrigo, and I got some bad sheep yarn for socks.
Nummy.
Those are the most recent ones that I've purchased.
Do you have a yarn weight that you prefer?
I like thin yarns versus
you
thicker
too.
yarns.
You two can sit and make out now over your skinny yarn.
The fat yarn, I think, hurts my hands more.
Oh my god! And you have to over accentuate everything.
Yeah,
because it's so big.
Knitting?
For either one.
Okay.
For either one.
I find that so I can crochet and I can do it like right here, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
But then when I use a really thick yarn, now I'm going, boom.
Yeah, anything bigger than like a 5. I feel
like you
like
start
so
singing a pirate
bulky
song.
I feel it. Yes, exactly. What would you say draws you to the yarn first? Is it the color, the texture, the fiber?
I would say color first. I think you are drawn to certain colors that you like, and then you definitely have to squish it first.
That's what happens to me.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
I like buying it in person versus online because I want to make sure that I can feel it and it's not.
Shop is for.
That's what your local yarn
squish
all of the yarns.
Yep.
Yeah, squish away. But once you have purchased a yarn and you know what it's like, then you're comfortable buying on a website.
For sure. Yeah, once I know
more
what brand or what weight or.
Sure. Okay, well, that makes perfect sense. Well, I'm all about, you know how I am about color. Like, if you want to distract me or dazzle me or get me to buy something, just show it to me in a palette and it's on. So I'm not entirely sure that I should be in charge of buying yarn for a small business.
You make good choices.
You do.
Well, I might make good choices, but I would buy thousands of pounds of yarn every week if I could, if I was allowed to, if
Everybody
it was
gets free
possible.
squishes.
I would. I love color. Love it. So that's what gets me to right away.
Yeah.
The first thing I look at is what color it is, and then I feel it, and then my brain starts racing with what I could make out of that, and what, as a crocheter, mainly what I will do. It doesn't matter to me if it's skinny yarn or thick yarn or whatever. I will make that yarn even if I have to buy it 3 times.
Yep.
As thick as I need it to be to make something. Like, if the color gets me, that's it. It's on, and then I'll figure it out from there. So color for me is very much the first thing. So let's talk about some of the technical stuff. What does one actually need to start knitting? Like, really, what do you need?
You need a set of needles. Typically, I started with straight needles. I know some people feel that the circulars are more comfortable or might be easier because it has that safety line, but you also have to consider that when you're sliding those stitches, you have to go up and over that lump depending on like how many stitches you have on or what size needle you're using. And so straights are like a straight thickness. You don't have to worry about getting it over the lump.
And your stitches changing their size as you move it back and forth.
Right, or just it being tight in between. It seems like a little less work. And then just whatever yarn is for the needles that you have. You probably don't want to start with something really small at first. You want to start with like a worsted or a DK.
So like a medium weight yarn.
Yep. Yeah, you don't want to do anything
so
super
medium
big
weight
either,
yarn,
though,
some straight needles. Does a person need all the other bells and whistles?
Not usually.
To start?
No, you can make a scarf with just that.
It's just that.
Yeah,
Cool.
You don't need a whole lot.
So it's not, it doesn't have to be, a lot of people make jokes about how much money they spend on their hobby. And believe me, I am one of the people that spends a lot of money on their hobby. I'm not, there's no judgment here, but one doesn't need a ton of money to start doing it. And you control what you spend. Like, you know, you decide what your price points are and you stay in that, you stay there and you work inside that, you know, you don't have to, you're not going to not be able to turn out quality work.
For sure.
Because you don't have a lot of money to spend. That's not the case. That's what
lots of people use Red Hard or Basics or whatever they can afford at the time, and they make great things.
And they make pretty things out of it. Absolutely. So do you have a preferred tool brand?
I don't.
You just use whatever is comfortable and handy?
So I have circulars that are small for socks that I use that are Chiogus. And then my favorite crochet hooks are Susan Bates, just these weird little ones. The
little metal ones with the thumb grip.
Yeah.
Yep. We showed those on our...
And they have the pointy top.
And they have they do have that pointy tip.
Yeah. And I believe they make like an ergonomic version with like a grip now.
Yep, a grip handle.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
I have some of those.
So what I don't like, this is personal preference with the ones with the grip handle, is that shortens the amount of room you have to load crochet loops on the neck. That's what I don't like about them.
Because I have a set of some brand that has the ergonomic on it, and I still keep going back to these weird little stick needles or stick hooks. And my favorite ones as far as knitting goes, if they're not my sock needles, then I have a set of knit picks, like the metal ones.
Yep.
And that's what I use for my circular projects.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, we all know that Kimmer has bougie taste in crochet hooks, so we're not going to talk about that today.
What's the easiest mistake to make as a beginner?
Dropping a stitch.
And what does that mean exactly?
So if
for those of us who don't know,
are going to take it off one needle onto the other, and you don't make it to the other one, and it just falls in between, then you will have to recover it. Usually you can with a crochet hook, or you can just ladder it up.
Wait.
Yeah.
So one needs a crochet hook to knit if one makes a mistake?
You don't have to have it.
Wait, but so a crochet hook saves the day, though?
It does in some knit projects, yeah. Yeah, it does in some knit projects.
That is interesting. That is very interesting.
Otherwise, if you mess up your pattern early on, then you can, depending on the pattern, you can feed your needle below it and then rip back above your needle, or you can just rip it all out.
So there's a few different hacks to fixing mistakes that you can learn.
Yeah, dropping the stitch is the worst, or having an extra loop. If you don't pull it out correctly or all of the way.
Okay.
Yeah, and that actually is really easy to do. I found myself doing that. And then I come around the next time, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, then you added one, and then you have to decide which one is the right one.
Oh my God. That stresses me out, just knowing that.
It normally just happens when you get sassy.
Right.
When you're like, ooh, I can knit fast.
Yeah, look at me go.
And I can watch TV and not look at my stuff. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what happens to me. Get a little sassy at it. That's funny. So, people always ask which is easier to learn or which we recommend. How would you answer that question?
I think it depends on the person. So, I'm pretty methodical as far as my fiber arts goes. Even when I'm crocheting, I'm counting the stitches because I want everything to be even. Focused on my tension, making sure that everything is the same length, or that and the same with knitting. I'm making sure I have my stitches all the way across. Even if I have 20 stitches, then I'll keep counting that 20 over and over and over again to make sure that is all the same.
Right.
Where crochet is a little more forgiving. If you forget one someplace, then you can just add one next time, and it doesn't matter.
Oh, look, I have too many.
Oops, let's just knit two together. It's a whole lot easier to just fudge it or to rip back a row.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you don't have to uncrochet it.
Right. So I would say, if you're, type A person, where you like neat and orderly and whatever, you probably would enjoy knitting better. But if you just want to freestyle and be a free spirit, then you would probably like crochet better.
Right. But then that doesn't, you're not pegged into one group either. If
For
you,
sure.
you can learn one and then obviously learn the other.
Yeah, there's projects that you can do for knitting that is more like you can do color work, or you can do lace work, or you can do cables, or you can do all of these things for knitting. And then for crochet, you can still do like shawls, you know, that are counted or more even than.
Yeah. Good. So, WTF moment. Look at this. Kimmer is knitting.
So I am really doing it. I'm on my 5th row. I know it doesn't look like it. It's because I chose to start with skinny yarn. I did.
It's gonna take you forever.
It's gonna take forever. But I am knitting. I am understanding very basics. I still know almost nothing, but I haven't dropped a stitch yet. I don't think. I'm pretty sure. No kidding, right? And I haven't said hardly any really bad words yet either.
It's not been so terrible.
It's not been so terrible. I'm still struggling with technique, and Allie and I haven't had a lot of time to sit and where she can like say, you know, maybe don't do that like that, because that's why that sucks so much when that's happening to you. But I'm definitely really slow. I feel extremely slow. So hopefully that will get better. But Kimmer is knitting. It has finally happened. I'm going to be like Mikey.
Yep.
And I'm going to follow his shining example of not being so opposed to it that I won't even try really hard to learn how. I'm going to try really hard to learn how.
She's going to jump out of her lane and right into the knitting.
That's right. That's right. However, I will always be a crocheter. I am a crocheter. Let's not get confused. I am a crocheter. That is absolutely a thing. But I feel like I can be bistitchable. Look, you guys.
Look at that.
Yep.
Look at that. Nice, straight, pretty little row. Look, Allie.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Your little stocking stitch.
You did.
Look what I did.
That's
and
amazing.
if you're curious, I am using the Time Away color of the Juliet Dream in Color BFL. And every time I look at this ball of yarn, inside my mind and sometimes out loud, I start singing Under the Sea,
Under the
sea, because that's what it makes me think of every time. It's very pretty. And I just hit this 5th row, and I can actually suddenly now I can feel
your lumps.
I can feel my work under there. There's enough of it now off of the needle that I'm actually a little more excited than I was the other day when I did my previous row, and because I couldn't really feel anything yet. In fact, I came in yesterday, and we had a few people in here talking and visiting and handling some things, and I took this and handed it to Carla, and I said, am I knitting, or am I just moving this yarn from one needle to the other needle and nothing is happening? It doesn't look like anything's happening. And she pulled in, she looked, and she's like, yeah, you're knitting. I'm like, are you sure? How can you tell?
Yep.
So if you feel that way when you first start knitting, don't feel bad. Because it's kind of,
it takes a little bit.
It takes a little bit.
Especially when you have small yarn.
Well, I don't know. I don't really know I didn't know what I was looking at.
Right.
And I have just a tiny little bit better idea of what I'm looking at today. Also, a customer came in with a knitting question today, and it just so happened that the solution to her problem was something that Ellie taught me to do the other day and explained to me why. So I was like, I know that one. Hold on.
That's hilarious.
Which is funny because usually when we get knitting questions, I have to refer people to Knitting Help Desk. So one of the things I hope will happen is that I can learn some things and help other people who are also new.
Yes.
It'll be before I can help people who are not new. But anyway, yes,
awesome.
Kimmer is knitting. WTF. We also had a longtime customer come in the other day while I was learning how to knit, and she stopped and glanced through into the stitch pen, and she went, I'm a little scared. What is happening in there?
Yeah, it's like
the knitting teacher was crocheting,
Yep.
and the crocheter was knitting.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. She's like, did I just step into a alternate universe,
It was
Right?
an alternate.
Yeah.
It was a little alternate, so
The door was a portal.
it was a
To
portal
opposite lands.
to opposite lands, for sure.
Yes, yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Okay. Well, Allie just found out just before the show started that she's stuck on the island with us
I am
tonight.
on the island.
She is on the island
Woohoo.
tonight. So Carla's going to give us our deserted island question.
Deserted island question.
Remember, if you have a really good deserted island question, we would love to hear it. You can send it to
Absolutely.
us at
Send it.
ASKYARNYAK@gmail.com. And you never know, your deserted island question could very well be next week's deserted island question. So those
Yes.
keep us awake at night wondering what you guys are going to come
Yes,
up with. So please
yes.
send them.
Would
Send
you
them
rather?
in. Would you rather? And if always. So,
All
all right.
right.
Here we are on the island.
All
You
right,
ready?
we're on the island.
We're on the island.
You're going on an adventure.
Ooh.
Why aren't we stuck on a deserted
Yes,
island? I think we're on an
yes.
adventure.
What is in your backpack?
Oh, Jesus.
Yarn. Because who doesn't carry that everywhere with them?
Right?
Yeah. Can this be a group answer? I agree with
Sure.
Allie. Yarn,
Sure.
hooks, a
Chapstick.
tapestry needle.
Oh,
A
yeah.
tapestry needle. Absolutely.
Tiny
Carmex.
scissors.
Lotion.
Yeah. Chapstick.
What is in my backpack? Do I have food somewhere else on this adventure? Because if not, this is going to be a big, heavy backpack full of snacks.
Either way, I
And
feel like
yarn.
I always have like mints or gum or snack
Absolutely.
Mhm.
with, especially with children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. Protein bars. There's going to be protein bars in my backpack. 'Cause those will keep me going. And beef jerky.
There you
Those
go.
keep me going for a
There
long
you
time.
go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Water.
You can't have them, but I can.
There's that. What's in my backpack? Probably a phone.
A sat phone?
A sat phone where I can call for a helicopter ride when I'm sick of my adventure.
There you go.
No, seriously though, probably yarn and snacks and the same thing that would be in my backpack if I was just going somewhere for the day.
Right. Or
You
a
know.
carry-on on a plane.
Yeah,
Like
like I
you
don't
have-
leave my house without
Yeah.
those kind of essentials in some kind of bag on my person. Yeah, definitely.
Me too.
Also, maybe a weapon.
Pepper spray. No.
You know, just something for the lions, tigers, and bears that are on the
Well,
deserted
I
island.
have one right here now. You know.
Yeah.
Oh
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, that's right. I had joined the pointy stick club.
Woohoo!
Yeah, you stick
Yes.
that in someone's eye and it's over. I mean, if you poke someone in the toe with that, they're gonna
Yeah,
jump.
exactly.
Don't leave it in your couch because
Oh,
if you sit on one.
That sounds painful.
I probably have everything that I have in my bag right now.
Mhm.
There's a book. There's a small first aid kit, toothbrush,
Listen to how prepared she is.
floss,
She's got a freaking first aid kit.
a little one, and
You need a Band-Aid.
Right? I usually have Band-Aids in
Stab
mine.
yourself
But
with your knitting
Mints.
needles.
I have charging cords for all the devices. I have
Well, you can take those out.
battery.
You're not going to need those on the
I have a
deserted
battery.
island. That
I
you
feel like
might
one of those
need.
battery packs.
I have an external battery. I have wipes. I have
Ugh.
Kleenex.
Wipes. Because there's probably not toilet paper on the deserted
Yeah.
island.
I
There's
have all
probably
the
lots of
things.
large leaves, though.
Like trade for.
Yeah, you could trade wipes for pretty much anything. Probably though, food, yarn,
Probably
anything.
away off the
Yeah.
island.
Yeah.
The big
Right.
currency.
A ride.
Hey, we'll
I
give
mean,
you a
hey,
fish for-
it was the big currency in 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking though that I'm going to have to add if I'm on the island, I'm going to have to add some sort of instant coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Start carrying it in
currency
your
right
backpack.
there.
that's right.
Well, since we're all stuck on the deserted island together, let's just keep yarning.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you found tonight's episode of Yarn Yak interesting and helpful. And I just snagged my yarn. Watch out. Here comes a naughty word. And there, I fixed it. I'm going to just scoot those back so it can't fall off. That's a thing I found out that happened.
Did it almost fall off?
It fell off, like 5 of them, but
You
I
were able to
managed to
grab
not
them?
move, and I slid the needle right
Like,
back through. And I'm
nobody
like,
move.
I really hope that those were the right holes.
Oh my
and
God, that's
usually
hilarious.
it's guys that say that, not girls.
Oh, my
So
God.
anyway, we hope you found tonight's episode of Yarn Yak interesting and helpful. You can ask us questions anytime by emailing us at AskYarnYak@gmail.com. Your question could be an episode of Yarn Yak. Give us a show idea. We love that. Be sure to visit our website at www.shopthestashbusters.com and check out our wares that we have available for sale on our website, as well as our classes, workshops, events, and other information. Subscribe and ring the bell on YouTube. If you like the content of the show, you can check out our page on Buy Me a Coffee. The address is in the description of the show. And, you know, we need caffeine to do this, you guys. Brains don't move without Java juice. It's got to have the brain juice. So tune in next week for episode 14, which is What's Awesome About Tunisian Crochet. And, Carla's going to do a lot of talking on that one because I barely know anything about that either. I just started learning Tunisian crochet. Look at her. She's like, work, 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 work.
That's all I do.
That's all I do. Anyway, thanks for joining us tonight and happy yarning, my friends. We'll see you next week.
Say goodbye. You're the best.
I
Bye.
am. Bye.
Yarn.